I don't care who you are and how long you serve. We all have our wounds, whether or not they're visible. Even as close as he and I were over those years, I had never been let into that side of him, whatever existed that eventually, led him to choose to take his life. I was initially a little, the guy kind of scared me. He had just came out of military training instructor duty, and he was a very intense guy. I got to know him, and he very quickly became one of my closest friends. And it just so happened that my first assignment out of that training school was to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona, as was his. We spent that 8 months together, and then PCS'd and had a couple more years working day in and day out together on an operations floor. About 3 days after I started terminal leave and was in the process of retiring from the military, I embarked on, a cross-country motorcycle trip by myself. I had stopped to get gas, and I was somewhere in eastern Colorado in the middle of nowhere, and my phone rang, and it was a former coworker to let me know that a mutual friend of ours had taken his life. Loss by suicide is absolutely just as devastating than somebody that was overseas doing their job and is killed. And I really suppressed or shoved down my emotions and never really dealt with them. It seems that the senior NCO in me knew how to spring into action and help airmen around me. I knew how to provide them with help, and I knew how to listen and be a sounding board for them, and I knew how to try to help them through the situation. Just don't necessarily know how to be that for myself. I have a mutual friend that I've called her a couple of times to just talk about things, and we were both very close to him, and I've called to kind of talk, and still at this point seeking answers that really aren't answers that I should or need to be privy to, but I just don't know how else to process the situation other than trying to understand it. And it's something I struggle every day with. Probably the single biggest catalyst in my positive mental health is my motorcycle, and being able to get out there and get that wind in my face and ride with my brothers in arms that none of them I ever served with in the military, but the bonds are that strong. You need that sense of belonging. You have to be part of something where you can share stories with people who get your story because they've probably been through a similar situation. I guess everybody's part of a greater community of suicide loss survivors, no matter what your connection, how deep or how small it might have been.
How suicide loss affects you can vary based on things like your relationship with that person and your own personal feelings. Understanding the reasons why someone has taken their own life is confusing and complicated, particularly since there is never just one reason someone makes this decision. The community section of Uniting for Suicide Postvention includes resources that can help you better understand and navigate suicide loss. Please visit USPV today for support and to learn more about healing after suicide.